Hi, welcome to Inkscape for Teachers. I'm Geoff Phillips. Today I'm going to show you how to produce some quick graphs, not using the actual graphing tool within Inkscape, but just using the simple Bezier pen tool. Sometimes when you want to produce a graph, it's all very well to put in the exact equation and produce the graph, but sometimes you want to distort certain areas to make them fit in a particular grid, or to exaggerate certain features, or just to make it a bit clearer. Sometimes, intercepts might be too close together, so you'll distort space between them or whatever, and then the exact graph's no good to you. So I'll show you how to produce some graphs just using the Bezier pen tool. We'll start with a blank canvas, and first off I'll draw my axes. The Bezier pen tool is over here, and we'll just click once, hold down Control, click again and enter for one axis. Select tool, Control duplicate, or Control D for duplicate, rotate 90 degrees, and we'll select both of those. Well, actually before we do, we might put arrowheads on them and might make them a bit thicker too. Select them both, and the stroke style in the fill and stroke menu, Control Shift F for that. Let's make it 0.7 for the axes. Yeah, look, I might make that a bit smaller. I might make it 0.5. 0.5. Okay. Put an arrowhead on the y-axis. We'll go down to the markers, and perhaps that one there. Well, I didn't want one down there, so Control Z. That's the other end. Again, have a look. Okay, and the x-axis, I think it's this end for the x-axis one. Perhaps there. Oh, I've got it back to front once again. Of course, that was a reflection of the first one, so it'll mirror its properties. There we go. And we've got our axes. You can drag around both of them, Control G to group, Control Shift to enlarge them both a bit perhaps. There we go. Now the first graph I'll try and produce is an imitation parabola. I'll click the Bezier pen tool, and I'm going to I'll click in the centre here. I'm wanting to snap to that intersection, but maybe if I click snap to paths and snap to midpoints of segments, perhaps there too. If I now go, yes, that's snapped, click, I'll then Control and increments of 15 degrees are forced, I'll click and enter. Then I'm going to duplicate that, Control D to duplicate, reflect it in the vertical axis, Control, drag it across till it snaps there. Now I'm going to select both of these parts of the V, Shift to select both of them, Nodes tool or N. I'm just going to drag around that point there, and join them together using this one here. I'll just check that they are joined. Yep, it's joined together. Control Z to put it back there. Click the Node tool again, click on this centre node, and make it a smooth one, and a symmetric one at that. So I'll click there, and there we have a parabola. Click the Select tool, hold down Shift to keep it centred. You can adjust the width. Hold down Shift and click, say, red to give the stroke a red look. And make that 0.7 for the width. There we have a reasonable simulation. In fact, it may mathematically even be a parabola. I'm not quite sure the exact equations the Bezier pen uses. I think it uses a series of quadratics. Okay, another graph you might like to produce is a hyperbola. Let's click the Bezier pen tool and click there in the origin, hold down Control and force 45 degrees, double click to finish. I might reflect that in the y-axis first. Select tool, reflect in the y-axis. Now back to the Bezier pen tool. I'm just going to grab it in the middle there and drag it down. It's snapping to a few things, so I might actually, before I do that, turn off the snapping tools. And now try again. And just eyeball that. If you click on a particular node, you can force it to be vertical. Of course, it shouldn't be quite vertical there. That one looks like it is horizontal, but maybe I'll put it like that. But look, that's pretty good anyway. If I click on the select tool, again, make this 0.7 in the fill and strokes menu. Let's make it blue. I forgot to hold down shift and it's tried to fill the curve, so Control Z. Oops, click on the screen, Control Z. And shift and the blue should make it, I've got to select it again, then shift and blue should make it blue. There we go. Might just move it out a bit. And there we have a reasonable facsimile of a hyperbola, or one branch of it. If I click on it and Control D to duplicate, reflecting a vertical axis, I can move that into position to form a trunker, so I'll reflect it again and drag it down here to form the other branch of hyperbola. To form something like a cubic function, you can start, I'll just move over here, you can start with a Bezier pen, click, Control, double click, and put in some extra nodes before I start trying to bend it with the nodes tool. So I click the nodes tool, then select one node, shift click to select the other, and select add a node. I might do that again, and adds nodes in between. Then if I click off and perhaps click down here, I'm just making a zigzaggy version of a function. I don't really need this point here, so I'm going to click and delete that point. Then I'm going to click these nodes, shift click to select more than one, and make them smooth or symmetric. You can fill around with either. I'll just make them symmetric for the moment. And it looks a bit horrible, but bear with me. If we Control to zoom in, and what I'd like to do is make these turning points. So I'm going to drag a ruler down, click in the ruler, and I have to go back to select tool, sorry, then click in the ruler and drag, let's say that's one turning point position, click in the ruler, drag down there. Now I'm going to go back to the graph, select the graph. Yeah, I just can't see that it's selected because I zoomed in too much. Then the nodes tool, and click on this node, and I'm going to bring it up here till it snaps to that line, but I better turn back on my snapping tools and snap to that line. Then I'm going to snap the gradient to that horizontal line as well. Likewise down here, if I bring it down, it will snap to that guide, then the gradient can snap as well. Now you can adjust these handles here till it sort of looks right. If you click it, I'll just show you what happens if we don't make it symmetric. We just make it simply a smooth node. You're able to drag out one side a bit more than the other, or drag in one a bit more than the other. I haven't done it for this one yet. I'll do the same here. Make that a smooth node and drag that along there. I might zoom out a bit and just move this node in and change its gradient, something like that. Clicking off to have a look. You can play around with those, the node tool and the gradient handles and so forth. I'll just make this a bit larger, 0.7, enter, and make it green. Once again I forgot, Control Z, it's Control Z, Control Z, click on it, shift and the green for that. You can widen things up there. Just go back to the node tool again. I want to bring that in a bit, I think, and maybe there, maybe this one needs to come across a bit. There. You can play around till you get it looking reasonable. Now if I select the whole lot, I'll drag it back, mouse wheel down and hold it down to pan, and there we have a graph. Much the same way you can get points of inflection, the same way using these particular guides. If I just wanted a simple y equals x cubed graph, I could just draw a Bezier pen tool, click, control to force 45 degrees, double click, select the nodes tool, shift click, or click the first one then shift click the second one, add a node using this button, and clicking on that, oops, that was the guide I clicked on. Yes, I've made it a sharp node for some reason. I'll click on that, make it a smooth one again. I can't seem to control that too well. Not sure what's going on there. Just Control Z a couple of times. I might have to edit this particular video. Make it symmetric, sorry. That gives me the two handles. Yep, then I can drag down. Or I'll just leave it a bit off and drag a guide down. You might want a point of inflection at that level there. Back to the node tool, click on it, and then I can snap that one to the guide. Now it should be symmetric. Oh, the point's not on the guide, that's why. I bring the point up, snap to the guide, then bring the gradient up, snap to the guide. I can drag those out, control and zoom back out again. This handle I can adjust. I can click the select tool, shrink the whole thing in a bit, make it a bit thicker, 0.7, enter, perhaps make that purple. You'd think I'd remember, wouldn't you, after 100 goes at this. Control Z, click on the screen, Control Z, Shift and the colour, and select, Shift and the colour, and there we go. I'll drag that back into view up there somewhere. Here it's snap into different guidelines. Double click on a guideline and click delete, or you can hide them by looking at the menu, view, guides, and turn that off, but deleting them's okay. Zoom back in. You can see there I've got quite a gallery of graphs produced just with the Bezier pen tool. That completes this tutorial. Thanks for your patience. Bye.